Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into something that's been causing a lot of debate. Cell phones in K-12 classrooms.
Yeah.
Should they be banned?
It's a big question a lot of parents, educators, even students are trying to figure out.
Right, and that's what we're going to do today.
Exactly.
We're going to look at the research.
Yeah, we're going to go beyond just opinions
Yeah.
and look at what studies and data are telling us about this.
Exactly. We've got a whole bunch of research articles.
Yeah.
And some of what we found is really surprising.
Yeah, some of it is really interesting.
One study even found that when schools banned cell phones, students' test scores actually went up.
Yeah, it's true, but it gets even more interesting.
Yeah.
For students who are already having trouble in school, their scores jumped even higher by 14%.
Wow, that's a huge difference. It really makes you think about how much cell phones are impacting learning,
Yeah.
even if we don't realize it.
It's a good point. And it shows how powerful it can be to reduce distractions in the classroom.
Right.
Think about it when you're trying to focus on something really important, like learning something new or solving a problem. Even small distractions can really take your attention away and make it harder to think.
Okay, so let's break that down.
Yeah.
We've all felt that pull from our phones, that distraction. But what's actually going on in our brains when we get a notification or we just have that urge to check our messages?
Well, our brains have something called cognitive functions.
Oh.
And these are like all the mental processes that we use to think, learn, remember, pay attention. These are so important for doing well in school and just life in general.
So like the tools that we need to learn and grow.
Exactly. And research has shown that using smartphones can actually make these cognitive functions worse.
Oh, really?
There was a study, and they found that when people use smartphones, it's harder for them to focus, process information, and even form memories.
So it's not just about kids goofing off when they're on their phones. It's like it's really affecting how their brains are working.
Exactly. And that's why we see such a big change in how well students do when those distractions are taken away. It lets their brains work better and smarter, and that leads to better learning and those higher test scores we were talking about.
That makes a lot of sense, and it's definitely something for parents and students to consider.
Yeah.
Even if you feel like you can multitask, use your phone and study at the same time, the research suggests that your brain might not be as focused as you think it is.
That's right. And this is just one part of understanding how cell phones affect things at school.
Yeah.
We also need to think about the good things about using cell phones in the classroom.
Yeah.
I mean, they can be powerful tools, right?
Right.
For research, working together, and even replacing textbooks.
Oh, absolutely. And some teachers even think they're essential for how we learn these days. They said that cell phones can help students work together, be more engaged in class, give them access to so much information, and even help them learn how to be responsible in the digital world.
Right, and it's important to recognize those good things.
Yeah.
What we see in the research is that these benefits are usually overshadowed by the distractions and negative stuff that comes with having cell phones right there in class.
Yeah, it's like they're so hard to resist even for adults.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's where this study from 2023 by Magnuson comes in.
Okay.
He found that even when teachers were using laptops and other tech stuff for learning, cell phones were still the biggest distraction.
So even in a classroom that's already using technology,
Right.
those personal cell phones are still a problem.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder if we're actually setting kids up to fail by letting them have these distractions right there during class.
It's definitely a complicated issue with a lot to think about.
Yeah.
But so far, it seems like the research is saying we need some kind of rules, right?
Definitely. The evidence is showing that letting kids use their phones in class without any limits can really get in the way of their learning. And it's not just about grades either. There are some even more serious things to consider.
Okay, this is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
And a bit concerning.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, we've been talking about how cell phones affect learning, but we have to remember that it's not just about grades,
Right.
There are some serious issues with cell phones in schools that we can't ignore.
Yeah, things like cyberbullying and sexting. Those are really serious problems.
Exactly. And they can have a lasting impact on a young person's life.
Yeah.
The research shows a pretty scary picture. First of all, about a bunch of studies where a lot of students said they use their phones to cheat.
Oh, wow.
E-cheating is so easy with smartphones, and it really goes against what education is all about.
It's true. And then there's cyberbullying.
Yeah.
Seems like it's getting worse all the time.
It does.
This study from 2024, they found that cyberbullying is a huge worry for teachers and students. It's not just teasing anymore.
Right.
It can have terrible consequences.
Absolutely. We've seen tragic cases like Amanda Todd in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
This young girl, she took her own life after being bullied online so much.
Awful.
It's a really sad reminder of how serious this is and how easily it can get out of control when kids have access to social media and all those messaging apps all the time.
And Smale and his colleagues also talked about sexting.
Yeah.
Which is another huge worry, especially because of the possible legal risks for students and teachers.
You're right. Sexting can have really bad consequences, legally and emotionally, like depression and even suicide.
It's really scary.
It just shows that we're dealing with potentially criminal stuff here, not just silly things happening at school.
So with all these risks and the research about distractions and how kids are doing in school, what can parents and teachers do? Is banning cell phones completely the only answer?
It's a question a lot of people are asking.
Yeah.
That GATH study we talked about earlier, the one from New Zealand,
Yeah.
it actually gives an interesting perspective on this.
Okay.
Apparently their national policy changed recently. They went from having no rules about cell phones at all to requiring schools to have some kind of restrictions.
So not necessarily a total ban everywhere, but definitely moving away from just letting things happen.
Yeah. Exactly. And this new approach has caused a lot of debate.
Oh, really?
Some people say that banning phones is the only way to make sure kids can really focus on learning and keep them safe from the dangers we've been talking about.
That makes sense. But what about the arguments against having rules? I'm guessing some people are worried about fairness and whether it's fair for everyone.
Yeah.
So a ban could put some kids at a disadvantage, especially if they're using those phones for learning in some classes.
You're bringing up a really important point.
Yeah.
That's one of the main concerns people have about restricting cell phones. And we have to think about the social side of things, too.
You're right.
Kids use their phones to stay in touch with friends and family. So taking that away during school could affect their social lives.
Man, let's not forget how hard it would be to enforce these rules. Teachers already have so much to do.
Right.
And trying to control cell phone use would be a real pain.
Definitely. Even with a ban, there would be ways around it, and students would probably resist. So it's clear that just banning phones might not be a perfect solution.
Yeah.
But there are other approaches we can try.
Okay, I'm curious. What are some of those alternatives? Is there a way to balance using technology for learning with making sure things are safe?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah. How can we help kids use technology responsibly?
It starts with having open and honest conversations.
Hello?
Parents need to talk to their kids about the dangers of cell phones, about cyberbullying, about how things stay online forever, and help them understand the risks.
I could see how that might be tough. These are not easy conversations to have.
Right.
Especially with younger kids.
Yeah.
What's the best way to talk about this stuff without scaring them or making them not want to talk about it?
You're right. It's tricky. I think the key is to talk about it in a way that helps them feel empowered, not afraid.
Okay.
Focus on helping them think critically, Help them understand that not everything they see online is true.
Right.
That people can be mean and hurtful online, and that their digital footprint matters. What they put online can have consequences that last a long time.
So it's about teaching them to be smart about the information they see online and be responsible digital citizens.
Exactly. And it's not just about what they shouldn't do online. It's also about what they can do.
Oh, okay.
Talk to them about the good things about technology, like how it can be used for learning, connecting with people they care about, and being creative.
Right. Show them how technology can be a good thing.
Exactly. And of course, the best way to teach these lessons is to be a good example yourself. Parents need to use technology responsibly, too.
Right.
Put those phones away at dinner time.
Yeah.
Do things as a family that don't involve screens. Show your kids that there's a whole world out there beyond the screen.
Yeah, actions speak louder than words, for sure.
Right.
But what about schools? What can educators do to help with digital literacy?
Schools can play a huge role.
Okay.
They can make digital citizenship part of what they teach. Teach kids about online safety, media literacy, and ethical technology use.
It seems like these skills should be as important as learning math or science.
Right.
They're so important for kids growing up today.
I totally agree. And it doesn't have to be a whole separate subject.
Yeah.
These things can be part of lessons they're already learning. Have students think about if online sources are believable in history class. Talk about social media ethics in English class. Or use technology for group projects in science class.
Make it relevant to their lives and what they're learning.
Exactly. And schools can also work with parents
Okay.
to do workshops and provide resources to help families deal with these issues together.
I love that idea. Working together is really important here.
Yeah.
A lot of this comes down to communication and collaboration between parents, teachers, and even the students themselves.
It really does. And the benefits go beyond just school. We're talking about giving kids the skills they need to be safe, healthy, and successful in every part of their lives.
Helping them to be informed, responsible, and ethical digital citizens.
Exactly.
This has been such an interesting and thought-provoking deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the surprising research on how cell phones can distract kids to the serious problems of cyberbullying and sexting.
Yeah.
And we've explored some really useful ways to promote digital literacy and create a safer, more productive learning environment for all students.
It's been quite a journey, but I think we've come to a positive conclusion.
Yeah.
By working together, parents, educators, and communities can help kids use technology in a good and safe way.
Well said. And that's what Science Research Explained is all about, helping you understand the research behind the issues that matter most.
Exactly.
So if you found this deep dive helpful, please share it with other parents and educators. Let's keep this conversation going.
And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the science behind the important issues of today.
Thanks for listening.